Now I'm not kicking a wire around. I'm still hitting this though. There we go. Now we're perfect.
Pitch perfect.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 11 of Bitcade. My name is Ryan Moore. This right here is Quinn. And don't worry, you might be wondering, hey, where is David? Normally he's here. Well, not here specifically. We are actually in my house, but we will see him later on in the show. So stick around. Today, we are going to be talking about favorite game company and hated game company, and also the Game of the Year nominations for the Primal Target Game of the Year. And then a mystery topic because we don't know what David's is going to be. So, to kick things off first, Quinn, are you ready?
I'm ready to start. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. What are we going to do? What are we talking about?
So the whole
first?
topic with favorite game company and least favorite company is, I hear a lot of people always talking about scummy sort of companies and practices, blah, blah, blah. And I think just a forewarning or a disclosure, your least favorite doesn't have to be something that's like bottom of the barrel, like they ship people from overseas to work in the dark, and they have
in
to
the gaming mines.
In the gaming mines, yeah.
Get back to coding.
Exactly.
I just picture like a lot of like people in like loincloths and like they're in a dark cave on computers coding.
The only things they can eat are like game sponsored things like Mountain Dew and Doritos and stuff like that, like gamer fuel. Like that's the only things that they're allowed, permitted.
And it's not even like it's like filtered through a tube. They just have to like it's like a hamster thing.
And
so
they
you
just have to like they mush in their Doritos with the liquids.
Ew, it's like this orangey. Oh man, that's gross.
Yeah, it's gross, but so it doesn't have to be that level.
I don't know if there's any at that level.
We don't
know
of. Yeah, we don't know. So I think we'll just start with the bad first.
Okay.
And then move on to the positive. Sort of get the bad taste out of our mouth.
Okay, good.
For mine, I had a little bit difficulty choosing one because these two companies are kind of interconnected, and it was just like both of them.
You can say it.
Yeah, I can say it.
I think David dropped an F-bomb.
All right, I'm dropping the piss bomb.
That's grosser than the hamster feeding tube.
This is the gross episode
of
Primal Target.
Gross episode.
So, both of these companies piss me off for the exact same reason.
Okay.
And that's why I couldn't choose one over the other. So, my first one that I want to talk about is Capcom. And the reason I really I get that companies are always they have sort of divisions. Like there's a team dedicated to certain things. Mm-hmm. And so this is like the one of the most like painful things for me, because the reason I really, really like Capcom, besides like Street Fighter fighting games, is Mega Man. I grew up with Mega Man quite a bit. And in the US, I believe there hasn't been a new Mega Man game since 2008 or something like that. 2007, 2008.
Wasn't it in majority of like the newer stuff
are
is
all
all
remakes.
are all handhelds?
Yeah, they're all handhelds.
Like
They're all just not remakes, but collection games.
Yeah.
Because I think the last Mega Man game that came out in the US that was new was Mega Man Star Force 3 for the DS. And I was in 6th grade when that came out. So
okay. So yeah,
it's been a long time. And so I just remember being very disappointed in Capcom because the way they treated Mega Man, and like there's a whole like meme with Nintendo treating Mega Man better because of his very faithful rendition in Smash 4.
Yeah.
Like where all his animations are exactly the same.
Well,
from
and
his
he
original-
doesn't look like disproportionate
Yeah.
for like who he is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
And it was only until recently that I think Capcom sort of, because one of the biggest controversies that happened at the time when Keiji Inafune left Capcom was one of, like, it was whoever said this at Capcom, like Europe or something. That was poor choice of words. So one of the people working there like responded. I think it was a tweet or something. I was in middle school, so I didn't really care to look this up or dig too deep into it. So it might be wrong, but they said that they had at the time for the 3DS, the Mega Man team was working on Mega Man Legends 3, which was a really big deal. They had generally for Mega Man games, they always have like some sort of fan interaction where the highest ranking fan or they go through a lot of fan art and then they'll add your character to the game.
And they've been doing that since like
Since
the
the original,
SNES,
like very
right?
old Mega Man games. And so this dude won the contest, and his character looked good, and it was like they had promotional art with his character with the main cast. So it was like that guy must have been really happy. And then once Keiji Inafune left, they canceled the whole Legends 3. And someone at Capcom Europe said, like, they canceled it. There wasn't enough fan support and stuff like that.
Yeah, because the Mega Man fans, they're never supportive of a new Mega Man game. Yeah, I know.
Like Mighty Number 9 at the time, before we knew it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
Totally didn't get funded within like a certain amount of time, or and overfunded at that. Like it got reached so many of its goals. So yeah, no support, not a whole bunch of fan art getting sent to your company.
Yeah. It's funny that the guy that makes Kirby makes more Mega Man games than Capcom does.
And then after that, it was in like Tekken Cross Street Fight or Capcom Cross, some Capcom.
But that was like the big Mega Man. Like that was the more skinnier, not bulgy, little short Mega Man, right?
No, so recently what they did, I guess, to bring light to Mega Man I think is really cool is they added Mega Man X to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and he looks really good. He's not goofy, but prior to that,
unlike most of those characters in that game.
Prior to that, though, what happened was they had Mega Man in maybe it was Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I don't remember. But they had box art Mega Man.
Oh, with the laser gun.
He's got the laser gun and he's fat and stuff. And they did that, and a lot of people were like, in my opinion, like I think it could have been a funny goof. Like, you know, it's like pay homage to like really bad American box art Mega Man.
But more of like as a skin, not the main
and
character.
I think it also came at a really bad time too, because it came directly after like the whole incident of canceling like Legends 3.
Okay.
It came after Keiji Inafune left, so a lot of people I think took it personal, like, oh, so this is what Capcom thinks of Mega Man now, huh?
Yeah.
And this hasn't helped with over the years them just pretty much creating a collection game, or just a bunch of collection games, and no new Mega Man in sight. So it's just very kind of like depressing, I guess. And that's why I kind of like I have a love-hate relationship with Capcom, because I love them because they make a lot of good games.
Yeah.
I like the company a lot.
And they have a lot of really good IPs.
But I hate them at the same time, because sometimes they really screw up with their games. Like a lot of people were upset with Resident Evil for the longest time until 7 went back to more like the straight horror beginnings, and a lot of people are kind of upset with Street Fighter 5 in the direction it's gone, and they're trying to fix that, blah blah blah. And it's just Capcom, I don't know. I can't really manage Capcom. I can't tell them like, oh, this is what you need to be doing. Well, I can tell them one thing. They should make Mega Man games. That's what they should do. But Hopefully, with this break though of not making Mega Man games, they haven't completely forgotten Mega Man to the dust. Like they're just trying to brainstorm and think of a way. Like if there were a time to bring Mega Man back, now would be the time because there's not a lot of competitors, and Mighty Number 9 already burned and crashed to the ground.
Yeah.
So there goes.
Where's that Vita version?
Yeah, where's the handheld version of that game?
Waiting for Vita.
They would lose so much money if they made a handheld version. Of
I don't
that,
think
though.
they got enough money to
I
do
don't
it
think
again.
they can do it.
No.
If they did, it's already so late because it's already a year after.
Well, now there's Mighty Gunvolt.
Yeah.
So like because Mighty Gunvolt is like a way better version of
Mighty Number 9.
Mighty
Yeah,
Number 9,
exactly. Because the thing is, Gunvolt was created by Inti Creates, and they did a lot of the Mega Man Zero games. They did Mega Man ZX, like a lot of the handheld Mega Man sort of platformer.
Well, it has that pixelated
Yeah,
look to Gunvolt.
And so they are very capable of making games. So Inti Creates, you guys are awesome. That's why I'm not going to talk about them in the bad section.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
The second company that I don't like is Concept. Concept is the company that Keiji Inafune went to create when he left Capcom. Or he kind of, he left because he felt he was being sort of pigeonholed into only making Mega Man games. And I think that's another thing about Capcom is they got the Activision effect. Because if you think about Mega Man had a game pretty much coming out every single year. And on top of that, multiple Mega Man game series going at a time. Because at the time that Mega Man 7 was released, or maybe it was 8, or maybe even earlier, Mega Man X had come out. And then X1, X2, and X3 were going on. And so at the time, people were confused because when Mega Man X had come out on Super Nintendo, people thought that was 10 because the Roman numeral.
Yeah, yeah.
So everyone was like, well, where are the other things? Because it was sort of like the Final Fantasy thing where the numbers got switched or something. So people thought maybe that's kind of like where it's going. And then when the original Mega Man series had ended for a bit, X was going, and then Legends had started up. And that Legends was on N64.
So they had like 3 series going?
Well, it's always been like 2 at a time, essentially.
Oh, okay.
And then when X was going, and then Legends was only 2 games, and then Battle Network had started, and then Star Force was happening at the same time, and then like Zero was going on at that time too, and then ZX was going at that time, and so it was just like Mega Man game after Mega Man game after Mega Man game, and so a lot of people sort of got sick, I guess, of Mega Man because there was so much Mega Man, and a lot of them weren't very creative, and so a lot of people dropped off. Well, there's a lot of reasons why Mega Man had its downfall, though, because there was also, I guess, in some ways it's true that there wasn't enough support, but I don't think what the Capcom employee was saying when enough support, I don't think it applies to Legends 3. I think Legends 3 had more than enough support. What I think by Mega Man not having enough support is that I've talked to a lot of people who have never heard of the Star Force series. I've talked to a lot of people that didn't know the ZX series and stuff like that. And I think the ZX games, if you're a fan of the platforming style of Mega Man, or you like the Zero series, there's some people that don't even know the Zero series exists.
But it goes back to like what you're saying though. There were so many things going on that it's like you either went one way or you went the other way.
Exactly.
So,
and it just didn't help that it divided a lot of people because Mega Man has Sonic's always been a running sort of game. I mean, there's been a few like party games or RPGs they've splashed in there, but it's never been a dedicated RPG series or something. Whereas Mega Man has gone from 3D like shooters sort of in the Legends series with RPG elements mixed in to side-scrolling platformer to Metroidvania to RPG to and so a lot of people get sliced. I just like Mega Man, so I've played almost all the games. And to get back on track to Concept, the reason I don't like them is because I still respect Keiji Inafune, but he's more. A lot of things though about Keiji Inafune is he's not really he's more of an ideas guy, I guess I would say, sort of ideas businessman rather than like a good original creator, because he didn't really create Mega Man. The original character he created was Zero. The guy who came up with Mega Man was someone else working at Capcom.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so, and even then, when Keiji Inafune came up with the idea for Mega Man X, it's pretty much Blade Runner because Mega Man X is about these.
It's about replicants.
It's about these,
robotic like humans.
They're called Reploids.
Oh, wow!
And they're called Mega Man X. He's a Maverick hunter, so he hunts defiant
oh my gosh,
robots.
that's literally Blade Runner.
It's Blade Runner, yeah. And he hunts down like evil robots that go against their code or whatever.
Yep.
So I think it's hilarious though. So it's not really the most original thing. So he's more of like sort of businessman that comes up. I think he's a lot better of a guy that oversees things rather than comes up with his own things. And I think Concept's biggest failure is that it bit off a lot more than it could chew. Because it promised so many things with the Kickstarter. It was Kickstarter?
Yeah, it was Kickstarter, and it promised like every system. We're coming to every system.
It promised that without them having any experience having done that. I mean, they've worked. A lot of the people that work at Concept have worked at actual professional game companies, but never. So what I found out, I guess, for the reason why they couldn't create everything at the same time is that they create pretty much a base version of the game, typically on computer, and then they have to port it onto the other systems and get that to work there or something like that. And like they have to do coding for that or blah blah blah. Video game stuff. I'm not a little sweatshop guy.
Not in the coal mines.
Yeah. And so they had a lot of difficulty doing that because they promised it to pretty much like I think Xbox 360, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, Nintendo 3DS, the Vita.
And Vita, yeah. And PC.
And the thing is, they couldn't even get the games optimized when they did hit consoles.
Yeah.
So there was no way they could get them optimized for handhelds. So they bit off so much more than they could chew. And it really tarnished Keiji Inafune's name because as far as I know, this quote is not true. It was taken from a mistranslation or wrongly quoted or something like that. But the meme that surrounds Keiji Inafune after the release of Mighty Number 9, a lot of people, it might be true. I might have just read a wrong article that was trying to defend him. I don't know. I don't speak Japanese. I don't know him. I would hope he wouldn't have said this because this is very disappointing. About as disappointing as a Miyazaki. Have you ever heard the Miyazaki quote?
About Studio Ghibli?
The quote behind him. I don't know if this is true. I don't want to believe it's true, but it's the picture of him looking sad. It says like anime is a mistake or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine if Walt Disney said cartoons were a mistake?
It's kind of like the thing of like that rumor about how Dr. Seuss hated children. Like you've heard that, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, how is
I don't
that?
want it. I
That's
can't
not
believe that.
true.
I can't believe someone that would dedicate their life to something like that
Yeah,
would
just throw it
ever
away.
just say something as
My life has been a lie.
yeah, as like, oh, totally regret ever doing this because it's yeah, exactly. So the quote that is associated with Keiji Inafune is after like Mighty Number 9 came out, someone asked, well, what do you think of like what the release of Mighty Number 9 and blah blah blah, and the quote, the supposed quote is, it's better than nothing.
I mean, I don't know. I actually did see Kenji Inafune at PAX, and as far as like the way I heard him talking and the way people were asking questions, he did legitimately seem like he was excited for the game, but yeah, maybe he was, if that was what he said, maybe it was like he was so defeated after this situation that it's like, at least it's better than what it is, than not getting one at all kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
I really hope he didn't say that because a lot of the other interviews I saw him, he seemed very apologetic because he said that it was all his fault essentially because he is the team lead and he is in charge of overlooking all these people, and he just didn't think it was very hard for him because he's essentially the head of the company. He
Yeah.
wasn't the head of company at Capcom, but now he's the head of the company at Concept.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of disappointing. I hope that quote isn't true, that he said it's better than nothing, because that's kind of aggravating.
Yeah.
I hope better from him. Those are just two. It's more disappointed in those companies, I guess. That's what rubs me the wrong way. So what would you say is your least favorite company then?
Well, so it's again, I want to go based off of kind of how you were talking about Capcom. It's like you'll never buy these games again. Like you will buy these games again. It's just you're disappointed in the business decisions that these companies have made. A lot of people do throw in, especially like American players, will decide that EA and Activision are the worst companies on the planet. More people lean towards EA. I, for one, have never found a problem with EA. I do enjoy a lot of their games. Nothing I've ever ran into where it's like, oh man, I can't enjoy this game because EA made this game.
What do people particularly hate about EA? Like, what's the main thing?
The EA thing is the microtransaction thing, and we've talked about like a little bit. I don't know too much in detail right now about the whole Star Wars Battlefront thing, but other than the fact that they had a transaction system. And then they changed it, like after the beta, they changed it to a new thing, and then they changed it to another thing when the game launched. And now people aren't very happy about any of that. And I don't know. I haven't played Star Wars Battlefront. I'm gonna pick it up today, so it's like, now that we type-stamped this this video, but still, it's EA isn't really my hated company, other than the fact of that kind of comes into play a little bit. But the geniuses over there at Activision, geniuses are in air quotes, of like, I don't know. I've ran into a lot more troubled situations with Activision than any other company. And now when they, like, I was really worried about when Blizzard was bought by Activision. Like, because now it's like, are they going to start doing this system? Luckily, Blizzard has stayed Blizzard, and they have not strayed off into this horribleness that Activision has this view that more is better. And it's not true. Like we've said several times on the show that we prefer to wait for like 5-year games because we'd rather play a full completed game that developers have gone, you know what, that I'm proud of. And I'm not saying like Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer aren't proud of their games. It's just I feel like if you gave developers longer times, you can get those minor details of, wow, that looks beautiful. Like when you look at Battlefield 1, you're like, man, that game looks gorgeous. And you know why? Because they spent years making that game. With Call of Duty coming out every single year, it screws things up. Now, on that note, it's more, I am glad Activision finally got a third company to come in, ergo Sledgehammer, to come in and to make Call of Duty games, because now it gives those developers 3 years rotation cycle instead of 2. Because even if you look back at it, you're like, okay, when you wonder why there's so many Black Ops, why are there so many Modern Warfare? It's because they have to come back and go, this is all we got. Like, we can't just start over this whole new storyline. So now that Sledgehammer's a part of the crew, which they've done an amazing job with World War II, I'm glad to see now we're getting 3 years of development. So that means, like, even if you broke it down to like this layman's terms, let's say you have a whole year of story writing, a whole year of coding, and a whole year of adding like all art styles and stuff. That to me is way better than cram your story, cram your multiplayer, cram everything into these 2 years and keep going. 3 years, I mean, that's a whole year. That's 12 months of these people working to make a game that will launch in November. And I'm glad I'm seeing Activision kind of turn face a little bit. There are times that, but in the past, they have ruined games. Like I've talked with you about Guitar Hero was this like amazing franchise, but why did Harmonix leave? It's because they didn't want to keep making games over and over and over again. They wanted to make a game, support it, and then after a couple years, like then make another one, and innovate on situations. Like that's the reason why there's 4 Rock Bands and not handfuls of Guitar Hero. You know that, and then Tony Hawk was another example. Like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5 looks like garbage, and it came out the same year. By December, it was like in the bin.
I didn't know that even came out. What year did that come out?
That came out last year.
Tony Hawk Pro
Pro
Skater
Skater 5 came out last year.
I thought they stopped making.
No,
those
they
games.
went back and made this thing, and it's like, I mean, I'm not saying that the developers didn't have any love and care in it, because I mean, they probably did. You're gonna spend time making a game. It's just, I feel like Tony Hawk was more pressured into, let's capitalize on the fact that there's not a skating game out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it just takes EA to come out and go, here's Skate 4. Like, then that's going to blow people out of the water. So with Activision coming out with Tony Hawk, it's, you know, there's this. But even with that franchise before Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5, you had all of these things that were making Tony Hawk not that good anymore. And a lot of people do like the spin-offs, you know, because now there are these two different, like, there's 3 timelines of them. There is a timeline to Tony Hawk. So, like, I don't know them in too much detail, but I've seen it, of where, like, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and then there's, like, a part where he meets Bam, and so Bam Margera, and then they make Tony Hawk Underground, I think. Or no. Yeah, Tony Hawk Underground? Or Tony Hawk American Wasteland. I think it's Tony Hawk Underground. Anyway, there's 3 different things. And then when he didn't meet Bam is the one where it goes Tony Hawk, I think that's American Wasteland.
So there's like separate universes.
Yeah, there's these different timelines. It's crazy, but it's like, it's kind of cool to like look at them like that.
So is there going to be like a Tony Hawk universe or something?
There
where
is a Tony Hawk
Tony
universe.
Hawks meet each other or something, and they form like Ultimate Alliance.
Yeah,
or
there's
something?
there's gonna be a big Activision game just called Tony Hawk, and it's the Tony Hawk cinematic universe.
Yeah, exactly. And all the Tony Hawks meet each other with their like different like people that they meet, like the main character from Underground or something like that.
But yeah, it's I don't know. It's
Spider-Man's in those games.
Spider-Man,
so
maybe,
the Tony
yeah.
Hawk games.
But that was the other
Oh,
thing.
and
Is like,
Django Fett was there.
but like Activision looked at a lot of their franchises and they just feel like they're rushed, and they're never like, you never give your companies time. For example, Skylanders was an amazing franchise. I'm not saying I ever played them, but I know my brother was at the time at the appropriate age to be playing those. And so like he was getting the figures, he was playing the games, doing all this stuff. But then you started making all these expansion stuff. And it's like, no, you realize you've made the game that everyone wants. Like the game that all you have to do is buy the disc, buy the appropriate figure, and then you can keep playing and just have updates. But no, Activision was like, no, we're just going to keep making games and then keep putting out these different characters. Like Skylanders still exists, but it's still like, it's not nearly as popular as it was before. But like, I don't know, to me Activision is that, why did you just do that, company? Like, why are you making another game when you could easily take a break? Like, I know at this point we now know Call of Duty's coming back every single November, no matter what. It's a yearly game. It's a game that everyone buys on Black Friday because they're like, all right, I'm getting Call of Duty, Madden, and like some other game. And you know, I know Activision knows that, but I wish they didn't know that. So that's why I don't like Activision. So. But I still buy their games.
All right. To move on to the positive side of this topic, my favorite company is probably Atlas.
That's a really good choice. Like, I did not even think of Atlas. That was good.
Yeah, because I'm a big RPG guy, and Atlas has like every RPG, well, not every RPG series, but a lot of them, if they don't make it, they publish it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even for a while, they published Demon Souls.
Yeah,
They
they
didn't
published
even-
Demon Souls until
Till they went off.
Until Pac-Man bought the Pac-Man company bought
The Pac-Man company?
Yeah.
Namco?
Yeah.
Pac-Man company?
I don't know them, what else?
Mr. Pac-Man came in and bought all of the Demon
Yeah.
Souls.
He bought
Does Namco really own that?
yeah, it's like Namco Bandai.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Do they? Wow, I did not know they owned Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's Namco Bandai.
I don't know.
That's why he's in Smash. No, just joking. The new Smash character for Smash Switch is gonna be
But he has a really very small hitbox, and he dies immediately. You can smash him no matter what.
But if you play it right, you get infinite combos.
Exactly. You could just keep rolling around.
Well, all the characters can roll in Smash, so he'd fit
Yeah,
right in. Yeah,
exactly. Coming soon.
You can choose like if you want to do like a strength build or a dex build or something like that. Oh, and the more you like kill people, the more souls you get.
You have to collect souls and just keep going. That'd be like a dark turn. It'd be PlayStation All Stars at that point. So. But anyway, you like Atlas.
Yeah, I love Atlas. Mostly because of the Shin Megami Tensei series and the Persona series. They're two, I guess, the biggest games that they make, and I don't think I've played an Atlas game
that you've been disappointed.
Yeah, I've been disappointed.
Okay, I felt like that was where you're leaning.
I'm pausing because I had to think, because I might have played one that was published by them that I was disappointed, but I don't think I played one that was.
Did you play Catherine?
Yes, I played Catherine.
Okay.
I haven't beaten that game yet though, still, because I don't have it. I had a PS3 at the time. Now I don't. I still own the game, but I want to play more of that game.
I mean, I have a PS3.
Freaking love that game. The music in that game. So Shoji Meguro, he's a good guy. Yeah, he's a good.
Isn't he played by Troy Baker?
No, I was talking about the guy who composes the music.
Oh, but isn't the main character?
But the main character is played by Troy Baker.
I think so.
I'll give him a pass on this one because I actually like his. I think he sounds. Well,
on this one alone.
He's not a bad voice actor, but.
Never mind. I was gonna go. Never mind. We're fine. But yeah, I mean, to agree with you on that whole situation, I don't know why. I guess my settings are down. To agree with you on that, on Atlas, it's like I am nowhere near the same JRPG player as you are. Like, if it's a JRPG, I only play Pokemon and now Persona. Like, those are like the only two I play, and I enjoy. So, yeah, I mean, Atlas is definitely really great.
I really like Atlas. They're definitely not as well known as, say, like Square Enix or.
They're getting there though.
Yeah, they are.
After
definitely
Persona 5, like I felt like I saw them everywhere now.
Yeah, the most recent Persona game. I mean, but they took a lot of time to make that game, of course, and I think that's really good for them.
They don't have the Activision effect.
Yeah, they don't have the Activision effect, and they even said after Persona 5, people were like, "Oh, so when's Persona 6 coming out?" And they're like, "We have no plans of making Persona 6 currently because they feel with all the current hardware right now and everything they've done in Persona 5, they've reached the sort of apex."
See, what they need to do now is come over to Xbox and make that JRPG game that Xbox doesn't have.
That's true.
There you go,
Xbox,
Atlas. There you go.
I mean, Xbox only has... Well, they're partnered with Sony, though. That is the thing, though.
Are they? No, because they got Nintendo games.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean...
Like, they would have... No, I'm not talking about Persona. Like, they would start
like
a whole new...
on Xbox. Okay, yeah, they could probably do that.
That way, like, they got Persona over there, Shinigami Tensei on Nintendo, even though, you know, it does cross over sometimes. But same with Persona. But majority of it is on Nintendo.
Yeah.
And then, like, have this other third pillar.
I think the reason a lot of JRPG, especially since Atlas is, like, I guess, a smaller company, they don't do for Xbox is because in Japan, the Xbox doesn't sell as well. So when they're thinking of their home demographic, I mean, Square can, of course, always do it on Xbox. Because
but the other thing is Square also has Western developers as well. Oh. Like Tomb Raider was made by Square Enix, but it was made by Crystal Dynamics, which is a Western company. So
they have Western developers. Yeah. I know there's Atlas USA, but that's only I think mostly for like localization and stuff like that. Not really for making their own games. But yeah, I just like Atlas. Good games. If you've probably played an Atlas game, you just haven't known.
Just look at the box.
Yeah.
It's definitely a logo that sticks out.
Yeah,
especially on the Demon Souls box.
Oh yeah.
It just says Atlas and you're like, "Oh, wow, okay." Yeah.
What about you? What is your favorite game?
My favorite company. This took a while to like decide this one, but it was very easy to confirm which one. And now you asked me which one of this group, and I was like, I all of them are really good. Rockstar is probably my favorite company when it comes to video games. They do everything so right. Like they take the time to make a game.
Yeah, that's
They
for
like I don't need a Rockstar game every single year because I can play that game over and over and over again to either A, get the achievements, finish all of the side quests, do all the they have perfected the sandbox game. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. Red Dead Redemption is fun. There's fast travel in that I don't use. Like I love riding a horse from point A to point B. I've done it here on the channel. Go check it out. But like they but when I played Red Dead Redemption for the first time, it was something I'd never played before. I've never played a game that had sucked me into that world of a Wild West theme, which is the reason why I'm so ready for Red Dead Redemption 2. I did not play Red Dead Revolver, but I will tell you, Red Dead Redemption was the first Rockstar game I played all the way through. I did play GTA 4 first, was not a fan of it. I just didn't like that style of it.
Which one is GTA 4?
That's the one that's in New York City. That's in
Okay.
Liberty City. That's the one with Nico and like, hey cousin, like that. That's from oh God, I can't even remember his name. I'm blanking on his name right now. But your cousin says that to you. He wants to go
Okay.
bowling with you all the time. Anyway, God, I can't remember. For some reason, I forgot it. Anyway, but Nico is your main character, and then, but it was like I wasn't really into GTA. I wasn't ready for GTA. I was a little bit younger to like play a game like that to get that sucked in.
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption just has you doing so many things, riding around all over the place, doing side quests, doing things like that. That is enough, like to get you started. There are times where I'm like, oh, this is not that big of a world because like I can ride from point A to point B with in only like 5-10 minutes, even shorter probably. But like after Red Dead, I played LA Noire, which I am so happy that they made a remake of that. Like they did a what do they call that?
Remaster?
Yeah, like a remaster. Yeah, that thing. So now there's like a 4K version of LA Noire. And LA Noire at the time when I got that game, I went to Target, bought the game, came home as a kid. I bought this game at Target, came home, and played it. And for the Xbox 360, it is 4 discs long for the Game of the Year edition. I played
Wow.
that game in a weekend because I loved it so much. And it was a long weekend, so I had like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to play it. And I enjoyed LA Noire so much that I'm like, I cannot believe you can get on this cinematic journey that LA Noire just took me on. And what's crazy is you can see that since Rockstar is owned by Take-Two, but since Rockstar is owned by the same group, they're able to share stuff. So like you can see this open worldness that obviously the other GTAs had, but like they perfected how far side missions can go compared to each other in Red Dead. Like that was perfected in that. And then or not perfected, but it was done really well. And then in LA Noire, you had this cinematic look of like, holy crap, that looks like an actual person. And then you go, they actually did impose facial structures in the game so that you can tell if someone was lying. And then after LA Noire was GTA 5. And so you're like, that was I've talked about GTA 5 so much of why I think that game is so great. But like they combined a great story, great cinema, like great look to it. The game looks gorgeous, especially if you have a really high-end PC or an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro. You can get that 4K look to it, or eventually you'll get 4K to it. But yeah, they've done so many things right that you can't just look at them and go, "Where's the next game?" Like I can play GTA for that's my mindless game. I can go in, do a side quest, come back later and do whatever. And like you just get sucked into that world and it's really great. So Rockstar, I mean, I know they've made also racing games and things like that, and obviously that's been incorporated in games, but I like to, in my mind, I like to refer to Rockstar as the Pixar of video games. Like, sure, Disney owns Pixar, but they're the ones kind of perfecting the animation style. So where Take-Two does own Rockstar, Rockstar does take implements off of every single game, and they just keep adding to that amazingness. And eventually, they just knock things out of the park every single time. So that's why Rockstar is my favorite.
I like it. Yeah.
So that's it, right?
Yeah, that's the
Any
end of
closing
this
statements?
topic. Not really. I don't. I think I spoke my mind quite clearly about how much I'm disappointed by Capcom.
All right. Well, we are moving on to the next topic, which is should I say it the way I've written it out here? Like Gotti is I hate it. I hate saying that because I hate when Jameson says it. But it's game of the year. It's game of the year talk. We're in November, as you can clearly see at this calendar. We can it is that time of the year to find out what are games that we are really looking forward to. And I just realized that I wrote those in notes on my phone. So,
well, I remember.
You remember yours?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I do remember my three. So the way that this is going to go is we're not going to tell you game of the year just yet because we're not all here. So in the next episode, not the next part, but the next episode, episode 12, we'll be talking about who won game of the year. Plus, we might go over the video game awards. I'm not sure.
And then we'll have a vote, right?
Yes, yeah. We'll vote, all three of us. Plus, I'll also talk with Ashton and Christian to get their votes in as well. So I'm going to write down ours, and then when I go talk with David, which will be later.
David.
Yes. We will get that going. So the way I'm going to do this is we're not going to say what order these are in. I'm just writing 1, 2, 3 for the games that we are going to say. These are not in the specifications of these are what we think are game of the year, but these are on now the ballot, if that makes sense.
These are like nominees.
Exactly. And we're only doing one category, game of the year. That's what we're doing. And then we might do the video game awards thing as well. So you get one, I'll give one, you give one, I'll give one, you give one, I'll give one.
Okay.
All right. So what is your first game you would like to put on the ballot of this year? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can vote as well. Put in the comment section below of this part what games you want on there. And maybe, just maybe, we might do a fan one too.
That would be
cool,
cool,
It has to be enough, though. So what's your first game you'd like to nominate?
I will nominate Persona 5.
Okay, Persona 5.
Should we explain like a little bit of reasons as to why we?
Yeah. Give a 2-minute reason of why it should be.
Okay. So I already briefly, I already had previously talked about that. I said Atlas is probably my favorite company. Well, then it should be no surprise that I really like Persona 5. And I like the Persona series as a whole. But Persona 5 is... in all honesty, I prefer Persona 4 more than or Golden, at least.
Yeah.
More than Persona 5. As a preference. But mechanically, the Persona 5 blows Persona 4 out of the water. Persona 5 is a complete, like... hot pot mix culmination of everything Atlas has ever done put into one game. Because if you followed Atlas and you've played a lot of their games, you'll notice like all the little additions they've added from different iterations of Persona and the SMT games that they've just put into Persona 5. For example, like there's a new psychic element. I don't know if you got to that part, Ryan, since you were still at the beginning.
I played to the first castle.
So they have like the regular fire, wind, electric, blah blah blah. But in this game they have like psychic and like nuclear elements. So there's like 2 more elements, and those were originally added in. One of them was in an SMT game that never came to the West. So there was no way of you possibly knowing that. And the other was from a lot earlier SMT game. I don't think I played it. Maybe both of them were from the same SMT game that never came to the West. But they added those games. What they did is they added what in SMT would normally be called demon negotiations to recruit demons, it's a hold up now in Persona 5, where you hold them up and then you interrogate them for money, for them to join your party, for items, and other miscellaneous things. And then, of course, all out attacks are still in the game. Social links are, every single social link is worth it in this game because they all give you rewards. None of them are worthless. I have to say that the supporting cast is really great in this game, as well as the main cast, of course. The voice acting is top notch. Just the whole game is very, really. It shows that Atlas put a lot of time and effort into this game, and so I really commend them for it.
Okay. Well, mine is it's got to be one game I'm nominating is Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein: The New Colossus. Though it is freaking hard, and as you can clearly see in my Let's Play in my PT Live a playthrough of this, there are times where it is so freaking hard. And I will tell you, there are times where also the rewards are a little bit less than what I would want because I'm trying to get there. But I have to say, of the games that I've completed, because the way that we have to put these on here is that we have to beat the game. Like, we have to play it and beat the game. That's the classification of putting these games in. But I think they added on a story element. The story is really, really cool, of a more gritty, violent version of kind of Man in the High Castle, because which is the Amazon show about an alternate universe of if the Nazis had won World War II, how would that pan out? And the way that they had it was that the West Coast was the Japanese Pacific area, and the Nazis took literally all of the East Coast and all of the Midwest, and then there's this like wall that borders between, or this like space that isn't owned by either one. Man, I was waiting for that burp. But this version of this kind of alternate universe of if the Nazis had won, I think Machine Games has done an amazing job trying to put Wolfenstein back together of where it was. Like, why I don't know, it's kind of the same thing with like how Crystal Dynamics has done with Tomb Raider. Is there was a franchise before, and then they kind of just went, you know what, screw it, wipe it all off the table, we're going to start from scratch, here's this new thing. And like it's interesting how the first game worked with the New Order. Was it kind of implements that we already know who BJ Blazkowicz is, who's the main character, he's what you play, and that he's already experienced some of these things that has happened in the past, but they're not like saying he did all of that. So in the sense that, like, kind of like Star Wars, where Ahsoka was a part of the Clone Wars series,
Yeah.
but when Disney bought him, they were like, okay, well now Ahsoka doesn't necessarily exist. So they brought her in Rebels, and they're like, okay, now Ahsoka exists. We're not going to say exactly what happened, but we're clarifying that we are hinting at Clone Wars did still happen. So that's what they're saying. So it's kind of like that. So where in Wolfenstein, the new Colossus kicks off, it's definitely, there are moments where, like, in the story, I even was so shocked. Like, I was like, in the sense of like, what? Like, how did what? Like, when a game blows your mind like that, it's a really great story. The gameplay is freaking hard, but I can't knock it for that. The game goes back to its roots, its deep, deep roots of finding health and balancing that with your armor. And if you don't do that correctly, you will die, and you have to strategically kill things, because it's not a first-person shooter as much as a lot of people, when they look at it, they say it is. I don't classify it as a first-person shooter because it does add a little bit more implements of different things to figure out how to do things differently. So I think I went a little bit over my time, but Wolfenstein 2, I'm nominating that. Quinn, what is your next nomination?
All right, the second game that I have for my nomination is Fate Extella: The Umbral Star. and it's part of the Fate Extra series. I haven't played the other games, so if you haven't played the other games, you can figure out the story. It's a little confusing though because a lot of the relationships with the characters are further along.
Okay.
So it'll be a little awkward because as someone that's just playing it, you're gonna be like, "Wow, they're talking like they." Of course, they're talking like they knew each other because they've known each other for 2 prior games.
Yeah.
But as far as this game goes, the whole story, you can get the gist of this story from itself. Like you don't rely on the prior knowledge to know like he lost his arm from like getting chopped off by like Captain Michael Scorsese or something, and like I don't know, somewhere,
Yeah.
somewhere land, and I think the game is very flawed. It's it's like a Muso game, which is hack and slash,
Like God of War.
Dynasty Warriors sort of
Dynasty
game.
Warriors.
Where you control a really strong unit and you plow through enemy units and you gotta control territory and you fight boss characters and blah blah blah. And it's entertaining. It's fun. I mostly played it because I was interested in the story for the Fate series because I got into it recently. And I think the story it's all right. I think I would give it a 7, and the only reason I give it a 7 is because it doesn't get really good until the later end arcs of the story, because you play through 3 characters and they're 3 different perspectives. And the first perspective is just the ground bare minimum of like, oh, this is what's going on, and then you restart the story essentially at the beginning and you play through the other character's perspective. And the second character's perspective I think is a little bit more boring because that's in line with their characters. They don't really want to do anything or like I guess fight. They just kind of want to live. And then the third character is the most interesting story and definitely worth, in my opinion, having played the game through to get to that one. And that game actually made me cry. I stayed up till like 4 a.m. to beat it one night. And I was like tearing up. I was like, man, this is
good.
sad.
That's
this
good.
is sad. Yeah. So that's my second.
Okay. So my second nomination is Call of Duty World War II. And now I know I just like totally crapped on Activision this last part, but I do think Call of Duty World War II is very, very special with the fact that Sledgehammer has come in, made this game, and has almost knocked it out of the park. Now, at this current moment, I have not finished it, so it might jump up on my scale right now. Like, of the games that I've chosen, there are, like, I would put some over others. So right now, Call of Duty could jump, but because it's on a very, very good track. It does so many different things that I have never seen Call of Duty. It's an on-rail shooter that jumps right into a stealth game, that jumps right into a first-person shooter, that jumps right into this amazing, like, overarch, like, Band of Brothers type of story. And I'm like, this is really, really cool that, like, Sledgehammer came in, they tested the waters, they're doing something, because I think this is their first game that they've done by themselves. They do advertise that Raven is a part of it, but I'm like, I don't really know if Raven is a software company. Like they make games. I think they just focus on the cutscene kind of stuff. I'm not sure. They might be like Blur. I'm not entirely sure yet. But their logo is shown at the beginning of the game. Anyway, zombies I haven't dove into too much, but I've played a map of that. They really added a lot. They have jump scares now.
Oh, they have jump scares?
Yeah, so like you'll be running and all of a sudden one will like jump right in front of you and you're like, ah! So like there's these, because they now crawl from the ground. They don't have to go through windows anymore. But it's like those cool things of they're adding these little things. Now, I think there's actually even story mode to it, to zombies.
Oh, wow.
That like David Tennant is a part of.
That sounds cool.
And so like I haven't played that part yet, but like I played just the basic map one. And it's just Call of Duty has come back to being a really cool first-person shooter. The online was a little bit buggy in the launch. But it's gotten better, and I haven't had a problem with it since then. The fact that you can earn everything, every single thing, you can earn it. You don't have to pay for things. Some things are a little bit more expensive, but they're not too far out of the reach like how some other companies type to put their stuff at. But there are things where you, in order to unlock it, you have to buy these other things. So like you have to buy this emote, buy this like cover thing. I can't remember what they call it. But buy X, Y, and Z to unlock, A, which A you want because it's like a gold skin to a gun. And so it's like not altering things of like you're never gonna get that thing. You can get it eventually. Like you can do it. Nothing's more than like 2,000 something, and you get paid every day. Like you get a in-sign bonus, and you get a because now there's this little open world hub you like spawn in, and then you can like run around and do some activities. There's like a one-on-one death pit. There's like a testing range. There's like this, there's like missions that you can go and do. Like they'll give you. It's kind of like Destiny, obviously with Blizzard Activision thing. But it's a very small, downscaled version of that. Of like you have missions you can go do. They'll say like get 10 headshots with a pistol, and like you go sign up for that thing. Like they'll give you like 6 things to do, but you can only pick 3 at a time. And so like when you do one, you get paid for it, and then you go back and then you get another one and you go and do that thing. There are also contracts and things like that, and that's just multiplayer. Story's great. I don't like the jumping around thing because I do feel like there's some times where I'm like I missed something. Like I was watching an episode of Band of Brothers, and then like I just decided, you know what? I'm not gonna watch episode 2. I'm just gonna watch episode 3. And then you're like, what happened? Because like they'll be talking about like, damn, I feel like crap because I talked to so and so, and you're like, but when was that? Like that was weeks. Yeah, that was like a week ago, and I'm like, we're jumped ahead like a month after the first mission. So, by the way, the D-Day mission in Call of Duty is insane. Like I was like you go back and watch the first episode of the PT Live video, but like there's so much stuff going on. The last time I was that excited to do a D-Day mission was Medal of Honor Frontline. Like I really love that game. And so it's like the fact that Call of Duty has come out swinging hard. They're swinging for the fences, and I think they're almost gotten there. So like we'll see if someone's going to rob them of their home run, or if they might have gone yard this time. So your third recommendation.
So my third recommendation is a little out of the box, a little out of the ordinary.
Out of the box. There's some 90s reference right there.
My Fire Emblem, or my
Fire Emblem Heroes.
My final nomination is Fire Emblem Heroes. Which, for you guys who don't know, is an app game that you can get on iPhone or Android, any smart device.
Now you're throwing Fire Emblem Heroes, an app game, on the ballot. And you were fighting on this one before. So
yes. Well, because I feel bad that I'm nominating because it's an app game. But at the same time, I didn't like Echoes. I'm going to be... if you guys haven't watched any of the previous episodes, I do not like Echoes. And I think, a lot of people argue what's more important in a game, story or gameplay. What the basis, when the games were originally created, they didn't have story. It was all about the gameplay.
Pong is a death match of like major stuff. Jameson's here.
You had to like read the manual to get the story, the gripping story of Pong, how you get inside this arena and fight another person to death. But Fire Emblem Heroes, in my opinion, has a lot better gameplay. I like the gameplay in Echoes, but it has a lot better gameplay than Echoes because it is something that you have arena mode, you have story mode. The story in Fire Emblem Heroes is not good. It's an app game, so I don't expect it to be good. You have all these different features. You have skill inheritance. It's like it's almost a full-fledged Fire Emblem game that they can continuously add content to. For free, essentially, unless if you choose to pay.
Yeah.
And so
as one mobile app does.
Yes, and I think that's actually very impressive. I mean, give it to Nintendo, of course, to do this because I think it's prior to this game, I wasn't interested in app games whatsoever. And when I played this game, I was actually very surprised at the fact that I could be playing a Fire Emblem game on the go.
Yeah. Well, my third one,
Oh, jeez, bless you.
I
You
know,
alright?
that's weird. Anyway, so like we were talking about, game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Game of the year games. So yeah, I did mine. I have one more left.
Okay.
Should I let you give
go
your
ahead.
two,
No,
and then I'll
just
give?
do the rest
do
of yours.
Okay, so my last one is Friday the 13th, and the reason why Friday the 13th, it's not a remake; it's an original IP,
Uh-huh.
and B, it is fun. Like, it is a generally fun game. It was just when it launched, it was not. It was so buggy
Mm-hmm.
that it hurt itself.
Right.
But still, there were so many fans that were like, a game is great when the fans are using third-party things to team up with other people that they've never met. Like, I remember I've never used the Xbox search for party
Uh-huh.
until Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And to me, that to me speaks that the game is fun to play because it's a game that, I was searching to try and find and play with other people, and I met like some people I added this year because I was playing Friday the 13th
So
this year.
it's kind of like the Xbox's built-in Destiny companion app to find
Sort
to find
of,
parties.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how
Yeah.
PlayStation players got around the whole thing, but
Well, like
but yeah, it was
yeah.
Microsoft's like search for party thing
Mhm.
like was really came in really good help there. And also like I know there was like what's that other one? The one that's kind of like Friday the 13th.
Death by
Death by Daylight?
No,
that's the zombie one.
Yeah, it's a zombie one.
Gosh.
the one Friday the 13th one with Jason. And
Yes.
You're thinking of the one where you're playing as
Like all those created ones.
Yeah, it's
Oh boy.
I can't remember.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I can picture the
I'm-
box art. I can see it. Okay, so while you're looking that up,
Yeah,
I'll explain more of why Friday the 13th. And just to have like this whole hide and seek method of trying to find you're Jason and you're trying to search this thing. And what's cool is like they added these, with the other game, there's kind of just like one way of winning as far as I was able to play. Last time I played it was still in beta and it was at PAX. But with Friday the 13th, there's multiple ways of winning. And sometimes when you get in the car,
Dead by Daylight.
it is Dead by Daylight.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
I think. Is it?
No, that might be it.
No.
No, what's the zombie one? Your phone's a little too close to the.
Oh, sorry. Cause I'm on a I'm looking. No, like that's.
Yeah, click on it and just watch one of the videos.
Oh.
So
Yeah, that's
that is what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
That's it.
Yep.
Death
Because
by Daylight.
there's
Death by Daylight.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So with Dead by Daylight, again, I don't know if they've changed it, but in Friday the 13th, there are multiple ways of winning. So there's you can do the heroic thing, and everyone teams up to kill Jason.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, somebody has to die because somebody has to come back as Tommy Jarvis.
Get
But-
that shotgun.
Yeah, but actually 2 people have to die, and then it's randomly selected,
Mhm.
random, as in the second person gets to come back as Tommy Jarvis. And then you can kill Jason. Second thing is you guys can escape. So subpar of the second thing you could do, you can call the cops.
Mm-hmm.
You can get on a boat and get out of there, or you can get in a car, and some cars have more passenger seats than
Mhm.
others. So you might we might escape, but like Ashton and Christian
Yeah.
had to sit there and
Yeah,
figure their
'cause-
own thing out.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Let's Plays of this because one of the YouTubers I like to watch does a lot of it. And I know there's the 2-seater, there's the 4-seater,
Mhm.
and then there's the boat. And yeah, so I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
And there's all these little increments of how to do things. And in Dead by Daylight, there are also those things of like
Mhm.
you need to have gas to do this thing. But it's cool because like gas can do multiple things. So
Mhm.
it can help you out in the boat, or it can help you out with the car,
Mhm.
or or the car has a specific thing of where you need to find keys, or the boat needs to find a propeller. So there's all these cool little things that they added in Friday the 13th that are really awesome. It's interesting to see that the game has come a long way. I think there's now a single player story now. So there's that. I haven't played that yet. But as part of the review process, I guess that didn't launch with the game, so technically still beat it anyway. Because I have one as Jason and one as a camp counselor, so I will say I beat the game. But yeah, I think it's a gem, and I do think it's really fun to play with friends. I wish we could record stuff more for like the console and stuff, but for some reason the Elgato thing doesn't really work, and I've tried. Maybe with the new Xbox I can probably figure something out. But yeah, so the third and final ballot list from me is Friday the 13th.
Okay. Solid.
Yeah. So what are your three, David?
So I'm going to start off and say I only have two.
Okay.
And that's primarily because I haven't played a lot of new games this year, or at least or have beaten new games this year, because I haven't beaten Persona 5, and I haven't beaten Breath of the Wild. I've played them. I've got about 30 hours in both of them, but I haven't beaten them.
Okay.
And then I haven't played any of the newer games like Assassin's Creed, the new Call of Duty, Shadow of War. I haven't played those because I am on the boat of I am what was the term?
Well, there's voting with your wallet, but there's also like boycotting of it and like
I'm voting with my wallet, boycotting with my wallet. I am choosing to not buy them until this whole loot box craze is basically done. I'm tired of it and I'm over it. So for the sake of the gaming community for games, I have not been purchasing them.
I mean, that's fair.
Intentionally.
Yeah. You could buy them at GameStop and not give the money back to the developer.
I mean, that's true.
So you could kind of sneak under the radar.
But I'm also a big proponent of getting game developers their money. Otherwise, the developers go away.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I only have two games that have come out this year that I have beaten.
Okay.
And I actually really enjoy both of them, and I do think both of them do deserve to be on this list. And we'll start off with the first one, which is Horizon Zero Dawn. I have not beaten the DLC. I have it. I've paid for it. I've downloaded it. I just haven't had the time to play it. But the base game itself is fantastic. It's one of the most refreshing takes on the open world genre that I have played in a long time.
Really?
It doesn't feel, grindy. Because some will be like, oh, well, there's lots of content to do, but most of the content is just grind fest.
Yeah.
Or searching. You're just searching for random stuff.
Yeah, I think like the best game that like we both like, I'm using that we both like, that we've kind of agreed that didn't have this grindy feel that felt so fluid was Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So like, is this kind of that vibe that you kind of had with Horizon? Where
but it's like a true open world.
Yeah.
Whereas Tomb Raider's a little linear.
Yeah.
But
it's sort of.
It does. Yes. You can go back to different areas. But with Horizon, yes, they do have their collectibles, but it shows you on the map where they are, the ones that matter. It does show you on the map where they are, and there's not an absurd amount of them. Like it's totally and they're along. Like they're along the progression of the story. They're not just like, oh, this is way off in the top left corner of the map.
Have fun walking there.
Yeah, you have no other reason to be up here, but we're just gonna tuck this here just so you have just to give you a reason to go to this corner. They're not like that. They're all within side mission or main story objectives, and it was really nice. The game is visually beautiful as well. The visuals are great. The environment's great. The enemy AI was fantastic for their beast. They each have each type of enemy. like you literally learn how those specific ones react, and they react with each other too. Like you'll see some, like you'll walk up and you see like the T-Rex kind of robot fighting other robots and things like that. And it's like, well, how do I deal with this situation? Because if I attack, the mob that the T-Rex is fighting, I'm gonna probably aggro it as well. Then there's multiple ways to take on enemies. Like when you put up your what do they call it? The little device. There was a term that they used.
Oh
for
yeah,
it.
her little like earring thing that she
Yeah.
has. Yeah.
That was the one thing I never got. Is that she gave it a name, like she made a name for it herself, but then when she meets somebody else who has one,
Yeah.
they called it the same thing, and that was the one thing in the story that didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
to
that
me. I
is
was
a
like,
little
"Whoa."
interesting.
I was like, what are the odds of them calling this little thing the same thing? And
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. They'll deal with that later. But when you prop that up and you're looking at an enemy, it shows you its weak points. Shows you its weak points. It shows you what it's weak to in terms of environmental.
So a little
or
Shadow of War or
Yeah.
Shadow of Mordor going on there.
and it so it's like, oh, if you take away like the plating around its belly and then you shoot its belly, that's like where its fuel is, and if you shoot that, it will burst and light on fire, and it deals like a huge chunk of damage to them. Or you can just shoot 100 arrows at it if you want and run and have it chase you. Like it's very strategic. It can be very strategic, especially when you're fighting the big birds that have like the rockets.
Yeah.
Those fights were pretty challenging until you get used to it. But the story I thought was unique. God, it was a little predictable, but I felt like it was unique enough. I thought how the world went. I can't recall any game whose story is kind of similar to this in its premise. But it near the end it did get a little predictable.
Okay.
But the cutscenes animations were great. Facial animations were great. Were spot on with the words. Some of them I thought were maybe a little overexpressive, but I thought the game, even the NPCs, looked just as detailed as Aloy.
Interesting.
Because you know how normally when you look at an NPC, you can always tell.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you're the guy.
Resolutions are a little low.
Like
yeah.
name the protagonist, and if you were like in a crowd, you'd be like, oh, obviously I'm the one, where everyone else is a pleb.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you would nominate that. So what about your number 2?
My number 2 is a game that I just recently got a coworker hooked on, and she's absolutely loving it, and that is Nier Automata.
I had a feeling that this would be your number 2. Like,
yeah.
Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, the games that we've said in this part are not specifically in order of what we think is the best.
Right.
These are just what we're putting on the ballot, and then all 5 of us are gonna vote. That's Christian, Ashton, you, Quinn, and myself will vote based on the games that we've announced today. So. I know we're leaving out Ashton and Christian, but it's just like they're not going to be on the show, so it's like a little bit different.
What are we going to do if there isn't a clear winner?
If there isn't a clear winner, we'll figure it out.
All right.
We'll have arguments. That's how
Right.
that's how Game of the Year things are decided. But anyway.
Yeah, Nier Automata. I mean, I praised this to high heavens in a previous video.
Yeah.
So just to sort of summarize about it. Fluid, amazing combat, very unique story, and in how it's presented. I've never ever played a game that was presented like this, ever.
Yeah, that New Game Plus thing that you were telling me about in the last, I think it was the last episode.
I think it was the last episode. Yeah.
Was
it's
like I would like it is now on my list of. I will probably, when I get my PS4.
It's on PC too.
Yeah, I did find that out.
Yeah.
So I might just pick it up for PC.
I've heard that they didn't port it too well, but you can get a mod that will fix it.
I might have to just do that. It might be cheaper just to go that route.
Probably. I don't think it's a game that's worth this $60 price tag. I got mine under $40 on sale on PlayStation Plus. If you can,
Black Friday is like
if you can find it under
rolling
$40. Grab it. Totally. I think for me, it is a solid $40 game. I think you're getting your $40 out of it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that game. I loved the story. I loved all the characters, and there's like the story and the character progression as they are as characters. Like their ideals change, and they really do grow, and it's amazing to see it, especially with one character in particular. And I don't want to spoil it. I just don't. One character just yeah, it's great.
That's
Um,
good.
but yeah, the music. Oh, oof, oof. Yeah, yeah. The music and the soundtrack. Oh, so good. Um, spot on for how it's trying to make you feel when you're doing the story, because there's a lot of emotion in this game. Because a lot of the stuff that you find out through the story is just like really there's a lot of weight to it. I wasn't expecting to have this sort of big, full philosophical, moral dilemma in my head playing this game.
It's interesting. Like it's
Um,
always good to where a game can like drag you in to a story
Mm-hmm.
so well. I mean, that's kind of how it was with like BioShock. Was
Mhm.
like there's this like world they just sucked you in. And you're
Yeah.
like, how I'm
Mhm.
living every moment I'm in this world right now.
Yeah, yeah. The only negatives that I really have to say about that game is
Welcome back.
sorry, I had a phone call. My girlfriend got off work, and
Yeah.
so if it's a big sale going on where she works right now, and the parking lot has no lighting. So whenever she's off and it's dark, she always calls me.
Speaking of no
So-
lighting, you guys have terrible lighting to indicate where you guys live. Like
Oh, yeah, I know.
I like when I texted you,
Hmm?
I drove into another thing because I was like, ah, crap. But as soon as I was like turning, I was like, this is not right because I saw it. I was like,
Well, was our sign not lit up?
it is, but it's like
It's
so.
just that,
Well,
yeah.
everyone has lights on,
Mhm.
and so like you're blinded by everyone's
Mhm.
lights, and then you're Anyway,
Yeah.
so
So I was talking about Near.
I think you were
forgot
wrapping
what.
up.
Yeah, I was just
Nier.
kind of wrapping up. I
Yeah.
can wrap. I really think it is the, the most. I don't want to say underrated because I feel like it's got reviews and ratings and praise that it deserves. But I feel like it is probably the most underplayed and probably underappreciated game to have come out this year. To gaming as a whole.
Yeah.
It really is an experience, and I think it's one every gamer should participate in. Because I think I was talking about some of the negatives, but because the only negatives I can think of is if you want this big, vibrant, open world with lots of activity going on, this is not your game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's kind of a little lifeless, but that's part of the story.
Okay.
There are reasons and purpose to why it looks like that. And the another negative is if games that have like fan service and stuff like that bother you, then that might be
I
you
have
know, a
noticed
turn
there's
off.
a little bit of
there's
some
a little
fan service
yeah
going
there's
on
some
there.
yeah there's some fan service that is unnecessary, but it's whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
All right.
But that's really all I really have to say negatively about it. Other than that, combat so smooth, story there, and it will mess with your head morally and just how the game is just set up. It's really a lot of fun.
That's cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have heard all of the games. To read them all off now, the ones that are on the ballot for Game of the Year of 2017 are Wolfenstein 2, Call of Duty World War II, Friday the 13th, Persona 5, Fate Extelia Extra Star. I feel like
Quinn game.
Yes. Fire Emblem Heroes, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Nier Automata. You can vote as well if you would like to. If there are enough people to sway the vote, I guess you can comment right here on the part video, and then obviously the full episode. You can do it all of episode 10 as it's being posted. Or sorry, 11. This is episode 11. Episode 12 that comes out next month, we will be announcing the winner of the Primal Target Game of the Year, as well as the first ever induction ceremony
Into the PT Hall of Fame.
into the PT Hall of Fame. It's going to be good. More on that next month. But we're moving on
Moving on.
to our third and final topic, David, what are we gonna talk about?
Well, I think it's something that it's about the Switch. Basically, we're gonna be talking about the Switch. Yeah.
Nice.
That guy right there.
Yeah.
I know. I knew you can't see it, but it's sitting right there.
Unless you turn around and then there is a switch behind you, so then we're talking to you.
Yeah.
That'd be weird. Like right there.
One thing that really pleased me with the Switch this year is that Nintendo has said they're going to bring more mature titles to the Switch.
And they've answered those calls
And
a little
they've
bit.
been, Doom has come out, LA Noir has just been released.
Was
Skyrim,
was Elder Scrolls out?
Skyrim's out,
Yeah.
and it is mature.
Okay.
It is a mature game.
I know because what's weird was Oblivion got both ratings.
Yeah,
They got a T rating and then we got switched to an M rating.
Mhm.
Because I have a disc that says Oblivion
Mhm.
rated T for teen, but it's actually M rated.
Yeah.
It's weird. That was one of those weird games.
And so, thinking about that, Brian and I were talking about it, and we were saying, well, what video game or video game franchises that are rated M would you like to have on the go?
Okay.
All right. I will start this off. And
Now we're gonna do.
do you want to go back and forth? Yeah, we can go
ping
back
pong
forth.
style?
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
ping pong it.
Okay.
I don't think this is going to come surprise to you or probably to anybody out there because I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking this as well.
Mhm.
I would love to see The Witcher 3 on the Switch.
That I was not thinking that was what you were gonna say, but it does. Yeah. Okay. I was like, wow. Okay.
I would love
Alright.
to see. Now they will probably have to take out probably certain scenes or edit them maybe because
Yeah.
I know Nintendo might not go for the whole full nudity sex
Maybe
scenes.
I don't know.
But you never know
like,
because you see that one game. Well, actually, they might.
LA
'cause-
Noir is rated M and it has nudity in it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's brief, but it's not full fledged.
So is the. Well, I mean, Witcher has a lot of.
Yeah. There's
boobs
no
in it, but-
insertions as far as I can remember.
Yeah, no, there's not. It's soft core.
It's
best.
movie
Yeah,
porn, cinematic
it's
porn.
rated R
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
It's not like Game of Thrones is
Yeah.
more graphic than the Witcher in terms of in terms of those particular
Yeah.
scenes. But I would absolutely play The Witcher 3 on the Switch.
Now, The Witcher
Absolutely.
3 specifically, or what if they just ported The Witcher first over there?
The first one, you mean The Witcher, the very first one?
Yeah. What
Witcher?
if they
Like
were
just the
like,
Witcher
hey, we're gonna
collection?
test this out. Yeah, and we're just gonna send out the first Witcher out there first.
So the thing is I don't think they're even. I think one of the reasons why we don't have the first Witcher game outside of the PC is I think that there are literal issues like they're just not able to. There
okay.
are reasons why they are just not able to port it.
Well,
And
The Witcher 2 is always ported to places. So what if they started with Witcher 2?
they can start with The Witcher 2 because the thing with The Witcher 2 is The Witcher 2 was supposed to come out originally on PC first and then consoles later, but because they wanted to push to have it all launched at the same time, that's one of the reasons why The Witcher 2 was severely delayed, like a year delayed.
And now I have it on Steam and my
Mhm.
Xbox.
Yeah, and I think there's some sort of technical limitation or something. I was watching a documentary and on CD Projekt, as they would
Oh
say.
yeah, because
Projekt,
Polish. Yeah.
CD Projekt Red, and they're just not able to port it to consoles. It is strictly a PC only.
The
game.
first one.
The very first one, yeah.
So I guess my question would
If
be:
it-
would you be satisfied if they started with the second one and then we're like, hey, we're gonna come out with a third one later?
I think
Or
at this point in
do
the
you think they'll
games,
just make
I think
another
I
one?
think no, I don't think well they've said that they're done making Witcher games.
Oh, okay.
They've said that they are done making Witcher games. So if they wanted to do like Witcher 2 and Witcher 3 like combo,
That'd be a big game,
that would be that would be an expensive cartridge,
especially since they've been like. The Nintendo cartridges are based on memory,
Mhm.
so it would be very
Yeah.
expensive.
yeah. But I would be all for it.
Okay.
Not so much The Witcher 2, just because The Witcher 2, I enjoyed the game. I love the story. It's a fantastic game, but I would rather have 3 just because of there's more meat to it.
Yeah.
The Witcher 2 is a solid game. It's like 12 hours
Yeah.
if you go through it.
Well, I
and
mean,
then you're,
Same with like the
it's
first
a
Mass
very-
Effect is like
yeah, it's
shorter
very-
than the
right, it's
others.
a very, very linear game.
Yeah.
Whereas The Witcher 3 is just, in my opinion, Witcher 3 is still uh, top game of this console cycle still.
Wow.
Um, uh, and I think that would be one that would be worth them porting over.
Yeah.
I would love to play that on the go. I would play it at work.
So mine, the first one I'm gonna go with is I don't know whether I should go with this one first and explain the second one later. Okay. So how about this? I'll do with this one. GTA, Grand Theft Auto 5.
Mhm.
Now a lot of people are going, "That's a big game. How can you fit that?" I think after seeing LA Noire being ported, and I know it's not like the whole bells and whistles.
Mhm.
I mean, it is a Switch version of
Mhm.
the game, and it's not going to look as pretty as maybe, playing on a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One
Mhm.
X. But I think they could do it. Like, I think seeing LA Noire, even though it's literally LA Noire is probably like, I don't know, 30 or 40% of what GTA has to offer. So but I do think GTA 5, now seeing that they're kind of partnering with Rockstar, might lean towards that. Might lean towards maybe we could do a port of this, or maybe a Red Dead could come here. But my main thing would be GTA would be cool to have on the go.
Well, it was like we were saying before we started recording. There are GTA games on Nintendo consoles.
Yeah.
Handheld.
Well, I mean,
The
there was a whole
Chinatowns.
exclusive. Yeah, a whole
Chinatown Wars or whatever
yeah.
it's called.
And there's even spiritual successors to wanting to have a GTA version. For example, Retro City Rampage is obviously the stepping back to the first GTA. But like it would be cool to see. Maybe we do get like that first, but
let me put it to you this way, because GTA 5 is on the PS3 and the 360.
yes,
So what if they just ported over those versions of it,
yeah,
just the single player?
I would be fine with it because like we remember the game launched without a multiplayer,
Right. Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
I was totally fine with the. There are so many things you can do in that game
By
without.
yourself. Yeah.
Like there's side missions. There's technically 3 campaigns that are
Mhm.
just thrown together.
Mhm.
You good, man?
Yeah,
So there's just this like I don't know, something about like GTA. Well, seeing those it on those other consoles,
Mhm.
and then seeing all these games getting like HD remakes of those that are coming to now here, especially seeing Skyrim come over to the Switch.
Mhm.
I know there's not as much, like, obviously you don't have to deal with too much traffic in, those kind of games,
Mhm.
but there's still big giant worlds, and I
Mhm.
think is Skyrim bigger than GTA than San Andreas? Than like
I don't recall.
yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But like not GTA San Andreas, but Los Santos in general
Right.
of GTA 5.
Oh no,
but
GTA 5 Los Santos is is much larger than Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like I don't know, like I think maybe sandbox games could work on a console that is handheld. And if it's just a story mode, then I think that's fine. Right now Nintendo people really don't give a crap about like if you have a Switch, more than likely you're not getting it for the multiplayer.
Right.
Like you own another console. Everyone knows that more than likely you own another console.
Mhm.
There's no diehard Nintendo fans anymore, as far as I know.
I'm sure they're still out there.
That
but
are just buying Switches.
yeah.
That just bought a Switch. They're
Well, like,
not focusing on
Well, the
PlayStation
thing
and
is,
Xbox.
The thing is I was watching a video earlier where they were talking about Skyrim coming out for the Switch, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Well, this will the only people I can really think of that this will appeal to is the people who are hardcore Nintendo. They only buy Nintendo, and they've never had a chance to play. Then they've never played
I
Skyrim.
guess.
And I'm like, how have you gone? Have you been a gamer for what?
It came out in 2011.
It came out
right?
11.
That's right. That's right.
And it's like that's like over 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, how have you?
We just
not
passed
g-
6
yeah,
years.
Yeah, it's like, how have you not gotten your hands on it? But I know that there are those Nintendo diehards. They are people
I
that
guess.
exist. They
That's
are.
it's
I'm
interesting
sure
to
it's a very
play.
niche.
Yeah,
I think it's very
yeah.
very niche, but they've got to be out there.
I guess. So in the sense of like 10% of the gaming population,
Oh, yeah.
like I don't know who out there has a Switch and doesn't have another console with them. Like you're either PlayStation, Xbox, or you have both, or you have your Switch. Because
or
you buy
PC or,
the Switch specifically for that. Oh, I did because I wanted the portability.
Mhm.
Like it's cool having Mario Kart on the go. Like when we
When
I
we were playing at
yeah.
break, we would
No,
play
well,
at
not
break
even
and
that.
lunch
It
at
was
work.
when it launched. I came over here,
Yeah.
and you were playing on the TV, and I was playing on my handheld.
Uh-huh.
Like that
Yeah.
is the Nintendo I want.
Yeah.
So like even if it's just like if GTA goes like that,
Mhm.
I would have no problem with that.
Yeah.
If like we can do story missions or like not story missions because that never
Local
really came.
multiplayer.
Yeah, but like
Like
local,
local multiplayer.
Yeah, and just doink around and play maybe the GTA maps. I don't think it's too far out of the question now seeing these bigger games.
Mhm.
Obviously, we've seen the graphic limitations of the console because with Doom coming out,
Yes,
there's
you
really
see the resolution. Yeah, when you look at them side by side,
Yeah.
you do see the resolution.
Well, there was a
difference, but-
scene that IGN did where like they walked up to one of like the little what do they call those little forklift things,
Mhm.
and you look at the seat and it's all muddy, and you're like, oh, that's not cool because they have to in order
Mhm.
for you to.
Right.
But the game's not
It
like
runs
you're
smooth, though.
well. That's the thing is like you're never stopping to
Yep.
smell the roses,
Yeah.
so you're
You
usually
don't
fast
look- yeah,
playing.
Yeah.
So that's what they kind of do. But yeah, I think a GTA game, maybe just going into maybe another Nintendo exclusive GTA
Yeah,
game.
sure.
I think it's not too far off, especially since LA Noire, Rockstar is obviously thinking,
On board.
yeah, the console is great. So I think GTA is not too far off.
Mhm. Yeah.
There you go.
Cut back over to me. I think another series I think that would do well on Switch is the Mass Effect universe. I know a few years ago they had like the Mass Effect trilogy come out. I feel like on the 360 and the PlayStation 3. I felt like port that over. I'll play it. I'll pick it up.
Yeah,
day one.
I mean, there's times where I can see Mass Effect being played on PCs that I'm like, how is that even able to run on there?
Mhm.
But it works still.
And maybe not so much Andromeda. I don't see Andromeda coming over
No,
just
I
for.
don't think
But
so.
I mean, I feel like the main trilogy, the ones that the fans,
The good ones.
I liked Andromeda.
Liking is different
I
than
liked
good.
I mean, I liked. I put like 120 hours into
I've been.
it.
It's on sale right now for the
I
Black
know,
Friday week. I might pick it
know.
up.
How much is it?
Like 20.
It's 20 at Target. At Target.
But I
it's
get
20 bucks.
digital though,
I know. Yeah.
and I can get it for 25 and get the season pass.
Oh, that just gives you online.
Oh.
They're not. They canceled all the single player DLC.
Oh, sad.
No, here's what sucks about that because I was really looking forward.
Side note.
Yeah, we're getting a little off topic here. I was really looking forward
time.
to. Did you play it? No, you haven't.
I
Played
have not got it yet.
So
I've been tempted.
I don't want to spoil it too much for you then, because if you do play it, I have a
I
feeling
will
you will get through it.
eventually. Yeah.
They hint at something like really important at the end, and you knew it was going to be the DLC, and then they canceled it, and now they're turning that hint into a book.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly
now
what I
you're
did
gonna have
too.
to
Now I have to
buy
like,
this
read.
book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dang
I have to
it,
finish-
stupid reading.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
Back on topic though.
Yeah.
I think I would
I think
buy
Mass,
that
Mass
like
Effect
that,
would
and
do-
I feel like it would work.
but you gotta sway EA into doing that because they have not even. I mean,
I'm-
FIFA did come to the Switch,
Mm-hmm.
but it is horrifyingly bad. Like it's a very watered down version
Mm-hmm.
of that game. So like, but that's the only EA game that's on that console.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting
Oh,
for
is
Ninja.
it?
Yeah. 2K didn't come.
Oh, that's
is
right.
is basketball and NBA Live did not come.
That's right.
NHL didn't
Live,
even
yeah.
come, which I
Yeah.
think would be awesome, but that's not part of this. I would love to see an NHL game on Switch. That'd be really fun.
Dude, I haven't played an NHL game since the 64.
But the thing is like NHL it falls in that same category as WWE, where like it doesn't matter what era. Like as soon as you learn how to play it again, it's
Mhm.
fun. It's
Mhm.
always fun.
Yeah. But yeah, I think and the thing with Mass Effect is you can fit all three of the games and all the DLC. You should be able to fit one of those on one of those little cartridges.
Yeah, I think if anything, knowing EA, they'd probably sell them separately. There probably wouldn't be some combo pack for lower cost on their part, but more cost on us.
Well, I mean, the trilogy released with all the DLC.
How many discs was that on?
I don't know, probably like 3.
Okay, well, there you go.
I have no
'Cause
idea.
that's the thing with,
I had the games individually. I didn't pick up the trilogy.
I didn't either.
The only issue I see is them probably not maybe getting the first one over because that was a Microsoft exclusive.
Yeah. But though
But-
Microsoft and Nintendo
I know they're getting buddy
They're-
buddy.
yeah,
I know
they-
it's nice, huh?
fighting against the Team Washington
I
versus Team Japan over there. That's
I
not working
know.
out for them.
yeah.
Yeah. So my last one is I heard it written down. Oh yeah, BioShock. I think BioShock coming to Switch would be an amazing port.
Yeah.
And I know it's another Take-Two game, but like I think that they are seeing that the Switch can work.
Mm-hmm.
And especially I keep going back to the LA Noire thing because I remember, and like I said in previous parts, like LA Noire was 4 discs long on 360 with all the DLC.
Mm-hmm.
And it played still, like, now obviously the Blu-ray discs throw it over there.
Mm-hmm.
But even with like the 4 discs that it had, I don't know how many discs it was when you played it, but still, like, I think a BioShock game and like having that maybe not as in detailed as it could probably be. And I
Mhm.
know I just want the BioShock handheld game that I never got for Vita.
Mhm.
And I know that it was canceled, and I know that like obviously everyone that was behind making BioShock is now very smaller than they were before.
I thought they weren't they shut down.
No, they just let a lot of people go, and then they are continuing making stuff, but they're not making AAA games anymore.
Oh, I thought
They're making,
I thought
like,
they were, what was the company's name that made them? Not Remedy.
No, man, now I'm really bumping heads on it now too.
Oh, well,
It's
I
2K
thought they were shut down.
No, they're
Oh,
still
they
good.
just downsized.
Yeah,
huge.
they didn't want to make
That's
AAA games
rough.
anymore,
Okay.
which was. But the thing is,
I
like
never- I
after
never-
Infinite,
I
you're
never
like you don't
thought
want
of
another one.
BioShock as a AAA game. I mean,
Yeah, the first one, okay, I
No,
can see
no.
that because it is
Infinite-
it is an exclusive.
Infinite, yes, I can see as
2 was
being a AAA.
yeah.
1 and 2, I can.
Well, like
I think they're
1
borderline.
was an Xbox exclusive for a long time,
Okay.
and then
I was gonna say, I
eventually,
thought it
like
was on PlayStation.
like a year, maybe even
Mhm.
2 years later, it was ported to
Mhm.
PlayStation 3 because that was a big deal.
Yeah,
And then
probably.
and then BioShock 2 came out, and that was like, wow, this is the sequel we got.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got the band back together and made Infinite again. And then I was like, yes, this is how we got to go back
Yeah,
to what
'cause I
we're
wouldn't
doing.
mind playing BioShock on the go.
And
That'd be
especially
fun.
now that the collection exists.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I think a fun BioShock
'Cause that's just
portable
a fun
game would be
game.
awesome. Yeah.
It's just a fun
Well,
game.
yeah,
And the
the-
story, like you take away the story, if you break it down like mechanically and what you do, in my opinion, it's just a fun,
Yeah.
fun game.
Yeah. So there you go. My 2 games were BioShock and GTA. I would love to see one of those games come over there,
Mm-hmm.
if not some sort of watered down version or maybe their own.
Right. Their own little
Spin-off.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know BioShock won't get one, but GTA might.
Cool.
So that's it. That is going to be it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to watch more stuff, make sure you keep it right here to Primal Target. This has been... See, Quinn's not here, and he usually does it with me, but you don't ever do it.
I don't get the. I'm confused. I don't remember.
Bitcade. This is
Bitcade.
Bitcade.
See, I don't. Okay. All right. It's been Bitcade.
This is the 3rd time I've tried this, and it's not worked, so I might just like throw it to the trash.
I feel like when this was created, I probably just.
What is it connected there?
I just wasn't.
Okay, so
So.
this has been
Bitcade.
Bitcade. There we go. See the bit that happens. Okay. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to watch more, make sure you subscribe right here on YouTube. We are Primal Target. All you got to do is hit that subscribe button, hit the bell button. You get the notifications when every single time we post a video. If you're more of a Twitch person, we don't judge you because we are also Twitch people as well. You go over to twitch.tv/primal_target. And we are over there playing video games live. Links are all in the description below to follow us on all social media. There is an end card that will take you to some random video and a preview. Well, actually, no. There's the next Bitcade episode and the previous Bitcade episode. And then in the center is a big logo that you can click on and subscribe to. My name is Ryan Amore. This has been
David.
and
This
Quinn.
This is Bella. If you can see him.
Yeah, I think he's on there.
Okay.
And then Quinn was here at a point in time, but he's not here anymore. I mean, he's still here, but he's not here. Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next
It
video.
went all wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not even worried. I sneezed so hard I
impressed
popped out of my clothes.
girlfriend with that reference.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.